I'm Eric Russell, and I'm out and about with the cast of Stupid Kids here at Richmond Triangle Players. How are y'all doing tonight?
We're good.
This show took me way back because I went to high school in the 80s, before many of you were probably born, or you were born. So this is a fantastic production. Tell who you are and who you play, and how you were involved, and how you got involved with the show.
I am Jason Cambell. I was the director, and I was doing This Beautiful City last year, and I told John I wanted to direct for RTP, and here I am.
I'm Kerry McGee. I play Kimberly in the show. I got involved. A friend of mine handed me the script, and I read it, and I loved it. And I loved the character of Kimberly, too. So it was very lucky that Jason then cast me.
I'm Courtney McCotter. I played Judy. I saw an audition announcement and I showed up. Yeah.
My name is Alexander Gerber. I play Jim. I recently moved back to Richmond from Chicago and reconnected with Jason on the Face Space, and he had a posting about his audition coming up, and I said, and I've worked with Jason in the past, and so I had to come audition.
I'm Joe Winters, and I play Nietzsche. VCU sent out an email about it, so like Courtney, I jumped on that. And Jason apparently liked me for some reason.
So this is set in the 80s, and of course, growing up in the 80s, we had all these great teen angst movies. Pretty in Pink, Breakfast Club, Footloose, I mean, Ferris Bueller's Day Off,
16 Candles.
16 Candles, they're all there.
Yeah.
I mean, we had ballad songs and hair and really poor fashion choices. Silver tux. But
Classy shit.
well, watching this, Breakfast Club popped in my head right away.
Yeah.
Because they're supposed to all be outsiders and the insiders. And here's what I came up with, and I want to see who you might identify with. Breakfast Club, they end up with the brain, the jock, the head case, the princess, the burner. Who are you in this play as your character, or is there one missing from this whole group that was never identified?
The homosexual.
Okay.
Yeah, that one didn't make the cut to
Okay.
80s movies.
I'm definitely the burner. Judd Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole time we've been rehearsing this, that's all I've been thinking about. And putting the earring at the end, the fist bump, that was definitely one of my sources of inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, again, like Joe said, there weren't any homosexual characters, but I definitely identified with the Ally Sheedy character in Breakfast Club, because she's just a little bit off the beaten path and doesn't care. Is cool in her zone. So I liked that.
I'd probably say I'm the brain. Yeah. I've only seen Breakfast Club once.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
That's why we're watching it on Friday.
Cast party.
And then I'd be Molly Ringwald, the princess. I think it's a little insulting, maybe, to say that I was channeling her. Exactly.
In your own high school, which one were you?
Out of those choices, wow.
I was probably still the burner.
Okay.
I was doing my punk rock thing for a while there. Wasn't so heavily into drugs and alcohol. I mean, I was the punk rock theater kid. So.
Okay.
Okay. I guess I was probably the brain. I did all the student council, everything kind of stuff. So, yeah.
I think I'd be the brain too. I was always getting good grades and stuff. Plus theater, so.
I don't know. I guess I was the outcast, of which people don't believe. I'm sorry. And I don't know. I kind of did my own thing, junior and up. So, yeah.
So with your own take on this from the 80s, which one were you in high school?
I was the brain.
Okay.
I was the gay brain.
Gamer.
The outcast brain.
The outcast brains. Themes inside and outside. We've got Kimberly and Nietzsche, Jim and Judy. From my perspective, from watching it, Judy has the most power.
Right.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then Jim is already entrapped by that. But what I'm intrigued is that these two characters don't go by the real name. They've adopted their own other identities
right.
since they're already outsiders and technically invisible in this high school setting, which only exists in high schools.
Right.
Talk about getting them to their points with that, or how you got them there.
As far as acting-wise go. Well, they're two very creative people to begin with, so they really, when they came into the callbacks, I gave them sides of the script, and I feel like they kind of came in with three-dimensional characters already. So I was very lucky. As part of the reason why I cast them, I was able to just shape that. But we talked a lot about high school. We did some interview type situations where I interviewed them and their characters, and they created a lot of backstory that's not within the script that then they were able to use and create layers on.
I thought it was. I think that's an interesting point about how both of them have different characters that they take on, that they've created, and that I hadn't thought about that before. But it makes sense with their being on the outside, because I feel like a lot of actors feel comfortable on stage only when they assume another character, and it's like their real persons have been told it's not good enough, so they have to come up with this kind of other person so that they can survive.
But in a way, wouldn't you say there's kind of a freedom to that? If
like you have a freedom on stage when you are someone else. Yeah.
So the person they really are is not accepted. So it's almost liberating where they can make these new people themselves, and they really truly can be the people that they want to be. Whereas Judy in the play talks about she has to fit into this mold, and there's so much pressure to do and to say what is expected, and the outsiders they do what they want, take it or leave it, and it's not easy for them, obviously, watching the show, but it's very different for our two characters.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how you say that Judy has the most power, but she doesn't have power over herself. She has power in social situations, whereas I would say that Kimberly and Nietzsche have power over themselves.
But Judy doesn't even realize that she has the most power, I think.
Right? Yeah.
She's completely, she's like, what do I have? You talk about freedom. How are Nietzsche and Kimberly, when you bring in their backstory, like free? Because they don't see themselves in some cases as being maybe as free as other people, or because they're very...
They're free to do whatever they want, really, because, in a sense, no one is really judging them or looking at what they're doing because they're outcasts, so they can just do their own thing and no one will care.
One of the things that a line that we use a lot in the show is that they're invisible. So it's not even just that they're outcasts. They're not getting beaten up. They're not the kid getting cornered in the toilet and getting, their head flushed down. They literally don't exist to anyone else in the school. And I think the freedom comes from that. It's less that they're the bullied kids and more that they're just not
just
there.
ignored altogether.
Yeah.
Do you think that shapes who they are later on? Because when we see at the end, you're like, wow, they really think turned out okay, or compared to...
Yeah, well, I think
Jim
about
and Judy.
I think about in my own life, like the things that I thought were working against me in high school, the things that made me different, that made me feel insecure around everyone else, are the things that I value most now and have created who I am. So yes, I think that their experience completely shapes them.
Yeah, because this is like early 90s. We didn't have Facebook or Twitter or any social media where kids could, tweet something and then regret it later. You write a letter. Your character writes a letter.
Yes.
Let's talk about the letter to...
The letter to Judy.
The letter to Judy, because that's a big moment, I think.
Yeah. Well, I like that it establishes that we have a character who's creative and is finding outlets for this burning feelings that are stuck inside of her, and I think that that's very important. But yeah, there's something so sad in this letter that says exactly what she means, that she can never give to someone.
And the moment she gets the courage to give it, the bell rings, and it's like, Judy doesn't even know that she's invisible. She doesn't know that she has this letter right here ready to hand it to her, and she can't.
Do you think it's a good thing that maybe she doesn't deliver the letter, or do you think it's one of those
Oh, yeah.
moments that's like,
Oh yeah.
you didn't have the instant now it's out there. Because these two characters are invisible and they're flying under the radar of everybody else, do you think they have a better time in high school that they're not outed, or do you think it's a detriment?
I think
or?
they kind of do, because in the end, when we're explaining ourselves, Kimberly says we paint our lives with creativity and speed and all these things, and it's their own world. And yes, we admit it is hard, but we get through it and we love it. And in the end, especially, you can tell that, not to sound mean or anything, but we have the better lives of the two of you.
I mean, I think if they'd been outed, then they would perhaps, at that time period, have ceased to have been invisible, and then would have been targets.
Yeah.
No, with Jim and Judy, I want to get to you guys, because this story is about you as well, because you want to be the inside, you want to belong to a group, and when you're teenagers, we have rites of passage, and some of those are driving and everything else, and here they have the tribal council.
Right.
So they're like the in-group that has their own social structure and order. Talk about Jim and Judy wanting to belong to all of that, and how that makes them outsiders as well as insiders.
Jim and, like I was saying, with the needing so badly, fixating on fitting into that mold, it's so much pressure, and they fixate on it, and in the backs of their minds, I feel like there are moments that you can almost see in the show where they do envy Kim and Nietzsche. They do envy that they can be their own person, and those moments, they're very minute, but every once in a while they come out, and it's difficult, and they but that's been their lives up to this point. They don't know anything different other than following the herd and doing everything in their power to fit in, to be the center of attention. And it's kind of sad because they don't see an alternative. To them, high school is fitting in, being cool, doing the right thing, dressing the right way, and it's constricting. It's
addictive. It's poison.
Yeah, but in their minds,
Highly predatory.
but yeah, like in their minds though, they see no alternative. And the show is Kim and Nietzsche trying to explain to them that there is this alternative, there is another life, you can be your own person. But unfortunately, in the end, they're stubborn. They succumb to it. They're unable to see.
Well, they're afraid, I think.
Very afraid. Just very, very afraid.
Because the punishment is exile. You'd be invisible like Nietzsche and
And high school's scary. I wouldn't want to go back there now.
Yeah.
Even knowing what I know
go
now.
back into it.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but as Nietzsche, it kind of hit a little bit home for me, because I was a theater kid. I don't know about your experiences as in theater, but theater is not the most popular thing to be in. So,
but I'm glad I took the path that I did.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'm very thankful that I did want to go against the norm, and it was very, very hard at times.
I know you ever thought you were going, I got something.
Yeah.
I just got something.
I don't know. In high school, I feel as if the popular kids are constantly editing themselves, and it's almost a fight to keep up what they have created that they think that they are. And they never find out who their true self truly is. And I can say that, personally, me in high school, I was editing myself to a point, and it gets so exhausting, and it gets, so hectic to try to keep up with what you have created that you start to hate yourself. But in the end, it seems as if popularity and being noticed is better than not being seen at all.
And Courtney did such a good job of creating, like you think about an actor creating a character.
Yeah.
Well, Courtney created this, really specific character, especially in the way she speaks. Mm-hmm. And then there's this moment in the bathroom with Kimberly where she finally speaks as, I think, the real Judy. Yeah. And it's just this beautiful moment, because then she's like, oh wait, and then everything switches. Her facial expression switches. her voice, which, I mean, the timbre in her voice, which is, I mean, it's really, so she did a great job of creating that whole, thinking about editing and the story that you have to create. And the persona you put on when you walk into those school doors, it's not the person you wake up being. But the moment you put those clothes on and you get with your friends, you have to play a part.
This is your role. You're the brain,
Right.
you're the jock, you're the popular kid, whatever.
Right.
Because the differences in times, in the 80s, we didn't have all the social media and stuff. Then you guys, through high school, probably had all
No.
of that now.
No.
Didn't have Facebook. Had MySpace.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Do you think that puts a bigger pressure on kids today, where we're talking about being
Definitely.
popular?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
My YouTube video just got
'Cause-
10,000 hits, I'm
Yeah,
followed by whatever.
'cause you're not just, you're not playing a role just inside of school anymore. You have to like play a role on like to the world.
I
And then
can't
you make that
imagine that.
one mistake, you know what I mean? Like that one video or that one picture, and then everyone's seen it, and you can never get away from it.
Yeah, I can't
You know,
imagine
People
that.
have to be concerned about their social media presence now.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Well, and their looks, like basics, like just how you look. Like a girl will obsess over how many likes she gets on a picture that she takes and how she turns her head. It's like everyone has become a model now, and it's disgusting, I think. But I mean, I can't say that I don't do it because everyone does it.
I posted a picture on Facebook during intermission. Like, I posted a picture of my beat up face because I was funny, but I succumbed to it myself.
Do you think that can make kids more invisible if they don't have that social media space now? They feel more isolated, or they're going, why doesn't anyone friend me?
I would imagine
It can.
so.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine being in high school and having the pressure while you're at high school. At least you could go home and it was kind of like a
Right.
sanctuary.
Right.
Because you weren't in contact with the people that you
Finally
didn't know and like.
be
But I can't
yourself.
imagine feeling like you're still being watched by the world.
Some final thoughts. What do you want people to take away from the show? We'll go around and say, what's one thing you want people to walk away from the show with?
I think the show is still very relevant today. I think it's very universal, and I hope that they can see not only just some connections with their past, but also with what's happening right now in the world.
What do you think?
It's a line from the show that I really like. The outside can be tough, but the outside can be beautiful.
Your final thought.
I hope that the high schoolers who come to see this performance specifically will be able to see, in extremes, what is happening in front of them that they might not be able to process on their own. And I hope that they can take a stand for themselves and say, I don't want to live the life that Judy lives, even though she is a popular one, because she's so unhappy. So maybe if they choose to be themselves and live a life of happiness, that would be awesome.
Probably building off of what Courtney was saying, I hope people take away from the show, if we're doing our jobs and we're staying true to the text, which I think is constructed very well, that the audience will be able to see themselves in one or more of these characters, regardless of age, and to see these extreme situations put out on stage using these very archetypal characters that, in any good theater, it's hold the mirror up to life, quote Mr. Shakespeare, but that hopefully positive social changes could be made, even on the small scale, just how we treat each other and how we speak to each other, and to be more conscious of what other people are going through, and not just yourself all the time.
The characters of Nietzsche and Kim obviously have a really tough time at times being gay, and I hope that for the high schoolers that come to this, and anyone else really, that they can see throughout the show that it gets better for them, and at the end of the show you realize what great lives these two characters can have, and that high school is just this meaningless little blip in your life.
And you graduate and none of it mattered.
Exactly.
And you go to college and you can be whoever you want to be, and it's ridiculous how we just fixate on these things for those 4 years, and then you graduate and you're like, I'm free.
Exactly. You all have a fantastic and powerful show here with a fantastic message and a
Thank you.
very talented cast.
Thank you.
Way to go. Way to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is part of the celebration of children and the arts for the Minds Wide Open. And if you want tickets, you go to rtriangle.org. Want to get a great job tonight.
Thank you.
This is a fantastic show. I'm Eric Russell. I am out and about with Richmond Triangle Players cast of Stupid Kids. You never know where I will turn up next, so tune in to find out, and I'll see you next time.